What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show. I am one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you as well. How are you this fine day?
God, I wish I knew any spoken Hylian from the Legend. I'm not sure anybody does, but people out there speak Wookiee and Klingon. So how Klingon?
Yeah, Klingon and Dothraki from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Can't be that
those.
hard, right?
Elvish?
So elvish. Anyways, the point is, whatever the Hylian word for hello is, that's the one. The Gerudo have it. It's Savasaba. That one might be good night.
Savak?
Savok.
That
yeah,
sounds
it's
like,
very cool.
Savak sounds like, that sounds Klingon.
Oh, well, anyways, the point is, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. We are here and we are excited to talk about some video games with you all. The ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. And you can catch those episodes new every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. I don't know why I still say the time. It doesn't really matter. They just go out on Thursday mornings. But you know what? You can listen to those on podcast services around the World Wide Web, as well as watch a video version of each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server where we have a lot of great conversation when we're not here recording the show. And finally, if you want to head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast to make the show bigger and better, just like Super Saiyan Ace, Elise F, Zach S, Mariah S, Susan M, James K, Michael B, Andrew M, Michael S, Brandon W, and our new patron, Erica L. Thank you, Erica, for your Patreon. They are all supporting the show over there for as little as $1 a month. And in return, they get cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Thursday release, access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery.
Special emotes on the Discord server.
Lots of little extras and goodies along the way. But if you can't do that, we totally understand. That's no big deal. There are a lot of great ways you can support the show for free, such as telling your friends, subscribing, leaving us a review wherever you listen to or watch the show, all that good stuff.
Just comment on the videos on YouTube. We love that.
Just doing that,
Kirok,
makes us feel warm and fuzzy.
Thank you. Kirok's always out there leaving the good comments.
Yeah. Always leaves a good comment.
Good for him.
Thank
all
you,
the
Kirok.
rest of you, step it up.
Do better.
Do better.
No, we appreciate each and every one of you for supporting the show and helping it grow and be bigger and better as we get closer to our 300th episode.
God, I don't even want to think about it.
Oh my God, we're old, but a big heart emoji to each and every one of our patrons, viewers, and listeners alike.
Particularly the new one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very excited.
Jared, I was just thinking, did we forget to do heart emojis last time?
We might have.
Oh
we might have been
God.
blown away by the new setup and everything.
Yeah, I think it was just so confusing.
Yeah, we might have forgotten to do that one.
Yeah.
Oh well. We'll have to
oops.
fix that for next time.
We'll just do 2 on the next episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Double heart emoji,
Yeah,
a double bump
hearts.
bump.
Yeah, bump bump. Or in Japanese, doki doki.
Ah, yes.
Or if it's like a manly heart pound, it's dokun dokun.
Dokun dokun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's the
manly.
emphasis behind it. Well, it is an exciting day because we are here after the release of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
It has been 4 days, not even 4 full days. It's been like 3.5 days in terms of hours because my GameStop doesn't open until noon on Fridays.
It's crazy.
So I had to wait to go pick up my pre-order until noon, which was very annoying. I even got up early because I was like, I'm ready. I think they open at 9, and then I looked it up and they were like, no, it doesn't open until noon. But that did give me time.
That, honestly.
That did give me time to beat one more main storyline in 2 Octo 2 Path.
Ooh, nice.
Before I have to take a big long break from it
and do nothing else but play Tears of the Kingdom.
So I think I caught up to myself. So based on the amount of stories I beat in 1 Octo 1 Path, I have now caught up to myself. So I've beaten 3. I'm on track to beat the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
So I just have to, I don't know, beat Tears of the Kingdom in 25 hours, which I don't
keep it a nice, quick, snappy
nice,
gameplay.
quick, snappy 20 hours, and then I can go right back to 2 Octo 2 Path.
Nice. Good plan.
That'll probably happen at about Christmas. I think.
It'll be a very long, drawn-out process for sure. But no, so you've been playing Tears of the Kingdom since its release, and you are here today to bring us your first impressions. Yep. Not full review.
Not even close.
How many hours? Okay, so if you think you'll beat the game in 25 hours, how many hours have you put in it so far?
So realistically, if you look up the how long to beat Tears of the Kingdom, most people are clocking it in as mainline story, not that much dicking around, not doing all the side quests and all the extra stuff. Still a 65-hour game.
Okay, so
some
still
people said they're
pretty substantial.
Slowest, which I'm not really sure what they count as slow because I feel like it's not going to be accurate to my experience.
Yeah.
They said their slowest player beat the game at about 85 hours.
Wow.
I'm already 95 hours into 2 Octo 2 Path.
Oh, I thought you were about to say
No.
95 into this, and I was like,
God,
how?
no.
How there aren't enough hours?
But my point is, I've already put over 90 hours into a game that is arguably shorter. And it's like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to beat Tears of the Kingdom in under 85 hours.
Well, just even from the stuff that I've seen, having not played the game yet, but just even the amount of dicking around, the new fusing system, which I know you'll talk to us about later, but just like the amount of that stuff, the amount of dicking around that can lead to is, I'm sure, ridiculous.
What was it that Bro Mogan said in the Discord? It was something about, I don't remember. Also, Discord occasionally fucks up on my phone and it doesn't want to open for me.
Have you seen the clips from that one show, Mythic Quest, that's on Apple TV Plus? It's about like a game developer. It's Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is like the creator / star. In that, they talk about this concept in video games called TTP. Especially in like games like Zelda that have like their own creation, or I guess any game at all.
TTP? What is that?
TTP, time to penis, and how long it takes for the game players.
Jesus, I wasn't ready for it.
Sorry, that gives the amount of time for the game players to in some way craft a penis, draw a penis in the game, anything like that. In the game of this, the game in question on the show, they put in a shovel and they're like, "This is cool," because it's an MMO. And they give players a shovel, which allows more like crafting and like terraforming and stuff.
And they immediately dig.
Somebody digs a penis trench. And so,
because that's objectively hilarious.
So I saw a post on Reddit like Saturday morning that says
God.
The TTP in Tears of the Kingdom was incredibly fast, and someone had like crafted a piece of like barrels and logs and put it on like a big stone figurine that they had crafted. It was so funny.
Oh my God.
So I can only imagine some of the creativity and the literal amount of dicking around you can do in Tears of the Kingdom. So tell me more about this.
The meme that I was looking for is Bro Mogan found or made the Drake meme of it's like the no and then the yeah. And it's the first one is no, making meaningful progress in Tears of the Kingdom. And then the yeah is testing janky flying machines like Wile E. Coyote. And it's so true.
Nice. That sounds so fun.
I was so where to start, because there's a lot to unpack here. So for starters, I want to get one thing out of the gate immediately, which is if you already weren't that cozy on Breath of the Wild, like if you didn't love it that much, if you tried it out and you were like, you know what, this just isn't for me.
So me.
Yeah, so you specifically, Tears of the Kingdom is still not for you.
Okay.
I still think that you will have the same problems that you had with the first game, which is that things felt a little too, I don't know, ambling, like things were almost too open, a little bit objectiveless.
Listless wandering.
Yeah, listless wandering, which is really what Breath of the Wild was all about. It's like, yeah, bitch, do whatever you fucking want.
Yeah.
There's no rules here. You go out and live your truth. That's what Breath of the Wild was all about. Tears of the Kingdom is still it is built on the exact same literal bones that Breath of the Wild is built on.
Nice.
Which is both a pro and a con. Obviously, the con is not enough has changed to, I think, change people's minds who didn't like the first game.
Okay.
So Tears of the Kingdom, still probably not for you. It is, however, very fun to mess around with some of the new stuff that they added in. So Tears of the Kingdom picks up about, and we're going to go into very, very light story spoilers here, which is just to say the stuff that happens before, like in and before the tutorial section.
Got it.
So do you remember in Breath of the Wild how the sort of tutorial section was you were trapped in that one plateau area of Hyrule?
Yes, until you got the glider,
yes.
I think, right?
So there was like a series of 4 shrines around the place around the plateau that you had to go and do to basically improve your Sheikah slate and get the glider so that you could literally jump off the plateau and glide down into Hyrule.
Very
and
cool
then
scene.
the whole world opened up and there was no restraint on where you could go. A very similar thing happens in Tears of the Kingdom. So the premise is that this is probably like either a year to a few years I would guess 1 to 3. They might actually say that it's been a year, and I
Sure.
just glossed right over that fact. But it's shortly after the Calamity events of Breath of the Wild 1. So Zelda's back out and about. She escaped Calamity Ganon. Well, she didn't escape. Link helped free Zelda from Calamity Ganon in the depths of Hyrule Castle. They saved the world! Huzzah!
Good,
Now everybody
good.
gets to get cracking on rebuilding Hyrule. Unfortunately. And really, I feel like this is Zelda's fault because trouble just finds her all the time.
Sure.
But so something, Zelda and Link are investigating some cavernous ruins that they've discovered beneath Hyrule Castle. So Zelda in these games is very inquisitive and intellectual. You know, she's the keeper of the Triforce of Wisdom.
Sure.
So she's always looking for research opportunities, learning. That's like her bread and butter. It's her lifeblood. So even though you could look at these ruins and say, we've seen a lot of shit that looks just like that.
Oh, no.
That wound up being mega problematic. I think we shouldn't touch it.
Sounds smart.
That's just not something that can happen
Yeah.
in the Legend of Zelda in the Land of Hyrule. Just based on the current leadership structure, that's simply not an option.
Yeah.
So Link and Zelda are delving deep into these ruins beneath Hyrule Castle, and they come across this big cavernous room that is full of Zonai murals.
Now,
so,
who are Zonai?
huh?
For the uninitiated,
Yes.
who are Zonai?
I'm getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
So, you know the show Ancient Aliens?
Yeah.
It's Ancient Aliens.
Okay, cool. I'm caught up now.
It's really Ancient Aliens. So the premise is that this is more of like the Hyrule backstory. I would actually say that it's kind of similar to the approach they took with Skyward Sword.
Okay.
In that the events of the game are predominantly based on this ancient civilization, specifically an ancient civilization in the sky. So the Zonai are these vaguely humanoid but also kind of animalistic looking creatures that lived in the sky, and they
Okay.
were sort of revered as gods, very Ancient Aliens like. According to the murals that you find in this room, it looks like proof that the Zonai at one point intermingled with the Helians to create what modern day would know as the Helian race.
Got it.
So it's like, oh, okay, this is all about our ancestors and where we come from. We are literally the children of gods. Great. Everybody already kind of knew this. We are literally the embodiment of godlike creatures on Earth. That's always been the case. But it's proof of that. So Zelda's very excited. They're really looking forward to delving into all of these Zonai structures, finding out more about their technology. They were clearly a very advanced race, or gods, whatever you want to call them. So it's all about, the excitement of knowledge and potentially being able to rebuild Hyrule using the technology that they left behind.
Sure.
But some of the murals are obscured, and it's like, that's probably not a big deal.
We don't need to look into
Anyway,
that.
we'll just excavate those later. It's probably nothing bad is over there,
Yeah.
right? Except that right before the section that's blocked off, there are these other couple of murals leading up to that that show a terrible battle between the Helians and the Zonai and what appears to be Ganondorf. And they're just like, oh, some ancient figure called the Demon King. That's probably not a big deal.
Ganondorf, who has no red hair.
Some guy with red hair.
Fiery demon.
Nothing we need to be worried about.
Yeah, sure.
So they're not that worried about that, but they do keep dropping hints that the culmination of this massive battle between the Helians and the Zonai and the Demon Lord and all of his demons, I guess, is that the Demon Lord was sealed away. Classic. Problems can't ever be truly dealt with in The Legend of Zelda. That's not true. You can just make them go away for a little while.
Right.
It's more
Couple
like,
centuries.
yeah, bit of procrastination,
Yeah.
and then you have to go back and deal with it again.
Sure.
So they're like, well, they sealed them away. It's probably not anything we need to worry about. Meanwhile, what's over in that room over there? Why don't we go check it out? Oh, hey, look, it's the Demon King. The one that got sealed away.
That we see in the trailers where like
see in the
the
trailers,
head like
yes.
turns and looks at it and like awakens.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's exactly the scene from the trailers. They come across this mummified body that has this long flowing red hair, and it's really the skeletal, horrifying figure. And there's this kind of disembodied arm and hand sort of pressing down on the mummy's chest, clearly keeping it in place. It's like a glowing blue.
Okay.
So there's this glowing blue hand keeping what we know is definitely Ganondorf, aka the Demon
sure.
King, in place. And he's just kind of chilling there. And it's like, neat. Let's go check that out. It's like, no!
A true example of curiosity killing the cat.
Literally.
Okay.
It's like, what are you fucking doing? Get out of there.
You're only going to awaken an ancient evil, and as we know, nothing good comes from that.
Nothing good can come from this. So, of course, Link and Zelda get closer to the figure. They want to check it out, but they are Triforce holders.
Sure.
They're the Triforce of Courage and the Triforce of Wisdom, respectively. They are beings filled with power. Power recognizes power. All of a sudden, the hand that's just kind of gripping onto the mummy just kind of falls off. Just blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
no.
oh fuck, can't be good. And then the demon lord like does the thing where he creaks his head around to like look at you creepily, and his eyes shoot open and glow demonic light at you.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's Matt Mercer's voice, and he's
Ooh,
like,
that's cool.
bitch, what the fuck? That's obviously not
It's
what he
high
says.
noon again.
It's high noon again. That's obviously not what happens. It's more like there's this explosion of demonic energy from the mummy. It attacks Link and Zelda. Link obviously jumps in front of it. He attempts to like shield Zelda with the Master Sword, which has the power to dispel evil. But the Master Sword gets just wrecked. The Master Sword gets wrecked to hell. It gets broken into shards. One little shard of the Master Sword breaks off and does actually cut the mummy on its cheek. So it did do something.
Okay.
But now it's kind of like super fucked up. And in the process, Link's arm, where he was holding the Master Sword, is like rotted and decayed.
Oh.
And it's like, ooh, that can't be good either.
You know where you can get a new hand? Just fell off the mummy.
There's one on the floor. Yeah. So the demon lord's like, you thought you could take me on with that puny little weak sword of yours? No. So he starts gaining power and all this stuff. Things start happening. The point is, the depths of Hyrule Castle start to shake dramatically, and a new event called the Upheaval happens, where mummified Ganon shoots Hyrule Castle into the sky. So it becomes this big floating castle in the sky. And the rest of the world also starts to go absolutely apeshit.
Uh-oh.
These chasms open up all over the place, filled with this evil energy that people have dubbed the gloom. They are no good. If you touch the gloom, it like literally saps your life force away permanently.
Oh,
unless
wow.
you can get reintroduced to the sunlight. So like sunlight can cure it, that's great and all, or things that are imbued with sun power can cure it, but the point is it's really, really bad news.
Got it.
These chasms open up, and more concerningly, shit starts falling out of the sky.
Well, that is
left,
never good.
right, and center. So these big chunks of what you realize are probably an ancient civilization, the Zonai, just literally start falling out of the sky and crashing into Hyrule mainland. And you're like, you probably shouldn't have gone into those ruins.
Not a good day for old Zelda
In
and Link.
retrospect, seems like a bad idea. Yeah. But Zelda doesn't really have time to look back on that, and neither does Link, because in the process of Ganon lifting the castle off of its foundation, everything starts to crumble around them. Zelda falls into what you think is the abyss. Link goes to reach for her, but before they can connect and he can actually grab her, she just kind of turns into like gold starlight and just sort of dissipates away.
Oh.
And Link's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, that's a little concerning, but he doesn't have time to worry about that either, because he's about to fall off right behind her when the hand grabs him. The disembodied hand just kind of grabs onto him, but he's in the process of dying because his arm got so fucked up that he's just blacking out.
Yeah.
So everything kind of fades to black. You know that Hyrule is in terrible danger. The Demon King has done stuff. Zelda has fallen into an abyss and disappeared. Classic Zelda.
Happens.
And now you just have to basically wake back up and figure everything out. And it's so funny because you know how in your Jedi Fallen Order first impressions you mentioned that Cal Kestis is still powerful based on the events
in Survivor
in Survivor. Excuse me, Jedi Survivor, yes. No.
Reset to zero, old Link.
They pull the immediate Metroid move. So in the process of getting effed up by Ganon and whatever demonic energy he sent out at them, Link is right back at zero. No clothes, waking up naked in the middle of nowhere with a new arm.
Ooh.
Because his arm was unsalvageable. So the spiritual owner of the arm that was keeping the evil at bay just kind of grafted his arm onto Link.
So, a la Cappy from Mario Odyssey.
Yes. Okay. So you've got your Cappy, more or
Yeah,
less.
gotcha.
So the arm that you've inherited is actually the arm of an ancient Zonai named Rauru. And the minute I saw that name, I was like, Roro.
I know, right?
We know him.
You said it, and I was like, wait, you misspoke. Yeah, I believe you mean Roro.
You mean Roro. No, so it's Rauru. Rauru. Terrible name. But the Zonai in question talks to Link as soon as he wakes up in a mysterious cave.
Okay.
Just like Breath of the Wild. You get fucked up, you wake up in a cave, you got some new shit going on. So
Sounds like a straight up copy paste. I'm not going to lie.
in a lot of ways it is. So you wake up in the cave, you've got a new arm. Raru's spirit, which just kind of appears now and then and talks to you, informs you that, hey, that's my arm. You're welcome. I saved you. It's like, great, I appreciate that. And then he tells you some other bullshit about like the Zonai and the Sky people. He's like, all right, have fun out there, champ. So you leave. So you leave yet another cave doing tutorial stuff along the way. And when you exit the cave, you are not in Hyrule. You're in Skyrule, which I don't think is what they call it, but you're in the Sky Isles.
Now, is that the same Sky Isles from Skyward Sword? Or is that a different location name?
Well, let's think of them as completely different locations because Breath of the Wild was already only loosely connected to the other games.
That's right, because they're all like different timelines.
Exactly. So don't worry about the timeline. All of that is stuff that will just weigh
I'm just trying to like
down.
Put pins, connect the
Now,
dots.
aesthetically speaking, yes, it's very much reminiscent of Skyward Sword. They clearly took the feedback of things that people liked from Skyward Sword. Floating islands. Everybody fucking likes that. Let's put that in our new game. So they took some feedback from Skyward Sword and obviously all of the other games and just kind of smashed them together into one super game. And that is still Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is just better because it's got the sky.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's Skyrule, there's Hyrule, and then it's technically not Lowrule as you would know it from A Link Between Worlds, but there's like Underrule. There's the mysterious black void lands inside the chasms.
Okay.
So the chasms that opened up all over the place when Ganon did his business, you can actually dive into those and you can plummet down, down, down into the darkness.
Interesting.
It's very creepy. And when you get down there, oh boy, it's creepy. And you're like, oh, God.
All kinds of monsters and dangers.
All kinds of monsters, all kinds of danger. It's dark. It's quiet. There's creepy critters all over the place. But it is literally a second Hyrule. Like I have started to realize that these different access points around the map are just that. They are access points. They do all connect at the bottom. Oh. And you can technically, I think, obviously there might be some places on the map where this isn't possible, but so far, when I'm looking at my map, I look at this point that I just opened up and then this one way over here on the other side of the map, and based on where I've gone so far, I'm like, oh, if I wanted to, I could have walked from point A to point B.
So you're basically getting like two massive maps to explore. Plus sky.
Plus the sky
Ooh,
map.
that's
Which
incredible.
brings me back to my point of there's no fucking way this game is only going to take 85 hours to beat.
You're going to be in it for a long time.
Yeah. So that's the gist. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I think I'm keeping up with it pretty well. Understand, they went exploring, they fucked around and found out Zelda's Stardust.
They sure did, yeah.
And Link is trying to save her with some new dude's arm.
Correct.
All right,
So
I'm there.
The other thing that's important to note is that before Link exits the Sky Isles, which is, again, more tutorial stuff, just teaching you the different things that your arm can kind of do to a certain extent, and then just sort of sending you back out into the world where you jump off. And
I was about to say, I like that you literally, again, do the same thing to get into the new map again.
Except from an even bigger height this time. And me and Bro Mogan were joking about, like, this game ripped off Paradise Killer because Paradise Killer opens that way too.
Yeah.
But the point is, so once you do your tutorial section in the sky, you jump back off again and you go back down to Hyrule, which is now, once again, kind of fucked up from the upheaval.
Sure.
So you are back at square one as Link. You are super weak. You've only got 3 hearts again. You've got this new arm and no weapons. So you go back down into Hyrule, and the people there who obviously know you, these are all characters from the first game, are like, Link, where'd you go, bud? What happened to you? Where's Zelda? And you're like, oh, fuck if I know.
I followed her around in her spelunking.
And it got us into big trouble. So the thing that I skipped over is that before you leave the Sky Isles, there's this sort of altar. And it's glowing with that same golden light that Zelda appeared to sort of dissipate into. And Link just kind of gets this feeling, you can tell, of like, I should hold the Master Sword in this light. So he does, and the Master Sword dissipates away just like Zelda did. Oh. And you're like, okay,
now you lost your girl and your sword.
And then you get this very brief cutscene of the Master Sword materializing somewhere else. I mean, it's clearly the same place.
Okay.
but Zelda's there and not Link. So there's some sort of like dimensional rift happening, or maybe it's time. Who knows what's going on there so far? I'm really not sure. But so Zelda has the Master Sword now, and it's like, okay, do we finally get to be Princess Zelda? Obviously
cool.
not. No, that's never going to happen. Nintendo will never let it happen. Yeah, damn.
It seems like they're setting it up though for this one. Do you think there's a chance? Maybe like end game? Maybe.
No.
Not holding your breath for it.
I don't think that will ever happen. I think they save that stuff for the side games, not the main games, unfortunately. But so Link is back out and around in Hyrule. Everybody else is like, where's Zelda? And you're like, bitch, I don't know. But people keep saying that they're getting glimpses of her. They're like, wait, you said Zelda's missing? But she was just here for like a hot sec. She told me 2 things and then she disappeared. And Link's like, Interesting. So it seems like Zelda's doing something. Obviously, you don't know what's going on. She probably doesn't have the whole picture either. But you definitely have to get your castle back out of the sky. You're like, gotta fix that one.
Right.
We should probably start investigating more about the Zonai to figure out what's going on here. That's clearly the common denominator is this ancient Zonai civilization. Right. So what you have to do is basically recreate the events of Breath of the Wild 1 and go to the Ritto tribe, the what is Prince Sidon's people called? The sexy fish people.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
The Zora! Jesus Christ. You gotta go to where the Ritto live, the bird people, and then you gotta go to where the Zora live, and then you gotta go to where the
Gorons.
Gorons! Thank you. I was totally gonna say rock people.
He knows stuff.
You know stuff. Then you gotta go to where the Gorons live, and then you gotta go to where the Gerudo live, and you're basically redoing what you did in Breath of the Wild 1, but with all this new stuff added in there as well.
Nice.
So to your point, and this is sort of where we're going to start to get into my opinions on the game, to an extent, it's very hard to say because on the one hand, I'm already many hours in, and I am playing and having a fantastic time. But there is part of me that wishes that you weren't retracing your steps.
Yeah.
Because even though things are different to an extent in the land of Hyrule itself, Hyrule proper, not really. All the same roads are more or less still there.
Yeah.
The mountains are still the same. The landscape, by and large, has not had dramatic differences. So when I look in any direction, I can go, okay, I'm pretty sure Kakariko Village is over there.
Sure.
Hateno Village is going to be that direction. Gerudo Valley's over there. And previously, when you were playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, you really didn't know any of that.
Right.
So even though your map is now blank and you have to go to all of the new towers that the Sheikah have built in place of the ancient ones from like the Guardian times, even though those are replaced by something else and you have to refill out the map, if you've played Breath of the Wild 1, you are doing all of this for the second time. So to that specific point, I don't love.
Sure, that would be. I mean, and I kind of understand from a design standpoint why they may have chosen to do it that way, just because of like if they did want to introduce these new two massive areas, especially like it kind of feels like they spent the time maybe developing what's underneath a little bit more and what's above, rather than being like this is just like it gets you a third area, but but the more of the time was spent developing the newer spots.
Absolutely. So Hyrule proper, as much fun as it still is to go around and just dick around in the world and have a blast, there is that part of me that wishes that it were more different.
Sure.
That the upheaval had done more to the surface land than just sort of throw blocks all over the place and be like, okay, there's some new Zonai shit laying around. You want to go play with Legos and make a magical Matchbox car that can shoot you to the moon? Yeah, go for it, champ. But that brings me back around to all of the new shit. So if the land of Hyrule itself is still very much the same, what's new and what's different?
Sure.
The Zonai structures are absolutely, the Zonai technology, I should say, is absolutely the thing that is just the delight of the game so far. So the Zonai have all of these, I guess just sort of pieces of tech laying around willy-nilly. They're things like fans, rockets, wheels, like bird-shaped stone gliders, things that look exactly like hot air balloons, things that shoot lasers out of them, things that shoot guns, things that shoot fire, things that shoot ice. There's all kinds of weird... a box that when you smack it, it springs you up like a jack-in-the-box.
Oh, that's cool.
And if you're standing on top of it, it sends you way high. It's the best. There's all kinds of weird nonsense from the Zonai that you can use your new magical hand to literally put together. So remember in Breath of the Wild, you had the Sheikah Slate.
Yes.
And that's where you got sort of your guardian tech. So you had the ability to make both circular and square bombs.
Yeah.
Ad infinitum, there was no ammo attached to those. You had the ability to create blocks of ice out of water. You could move things around that were metal, like specifically metal stuff. You could point the Sheikah Slate at it, and it would sort of magnetically connect, and then you could move that stuff around. And then I think there may have been a third ability.
Stop time?
Yes, stop time. There was the ability to stop time. Well, your new fancy Zonai arm is similar, but with some pretty big differences. So what the Zonai abilities can do is, the main one is pick shit up.
Yeah.
So you can pick up stuff that's made of wood, stone, Zonai things, and then you can also glue them together with magical Zonai glue. Who knows what we'll call it? Zloo? A terrible name. But you can attach things to other things by rotating them around and basically just, Lego building things together. Tinker Toys?
Yes.
It's a lot like Tinker Toys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I haven't thought about Tinker Toys in a long time.
I know, right? Nobody has. Everybody always thinks about Lego first, but what about Tinker Toys?
Tinker Toys at my grandma's house, and that's the only place I had Tinker Toys.
Oh man, Tinker Toys were the best. Anyways, so you can put things together with your Zonai arm. You can also do the ability that you will have seen in some of the trailers if you watch them, called Ascend, where you just kind of get underneath any ceiling that you can think of, any sort of ledge, any sort of firm ceiling, and you just hit the Ascend button, and you can just shoot straight up through the roof, swim through matter. It goes into like this weird sort of dream sequence, and then you sort of poke your head up above, and if you scope it out, and you're like, okay, this is where I wanted to land. You come back up like a groundhog.
Oh, wow.
But if you get up there and you're like, a lot of enemies up here, or this actually isn't an environment I wanted to be in, you can just cancel and you go straight back down.
Oh, wow,
so
interesting.
Ascend is very fun and stupid.
That does
I love
sound
it a
fun.
lot. Ascend is super fun. The other one is reverse time, or reverse trajectory, I should say. So it like imagine that a spiked ball that the Bokoblins have sent down a hill is coming right at you, and you're like, I don't like that. I'm going to send it back to them.
Uno reverse.
Return to you Uno reverse them, exactly. So you can reverse the motion of any object for a limited time, of course. So there's a little bit of time rewind. There's the Ascend thing. There's just move shit around, and then there's Fuse, everybody's favorite. So this is both another con and a pro. So the con is the weapon degradation system from Breath of the Wild is alive and well.
Really? I thought I heard that they were not going to include that one in this one.
No.
Oh, see?
That was just wishful thinking on everybody else's part.
If that was not there, again, I feel like I would probably had more fun in Breath of the Wild.
So they did at least help mitigate it. So weapons still degrade. Some weapons are specifically more brittle than others, and the game will tell you. So you know how the bone people, like the Stalfos and the Skeleman, they have like those bone arms that literally move around and you can pick them up and use them as weapons? Those specifically say on their flavor text, it's brittle. So you know that thing's not going to last you very long, even if it has pretty good attack power on its own. Then again, you might pick up a stick and it's just a normal stick and its durability is really bad. But then you find another better stick, and the better stick says sturdy stick, and you're like, sturdy? That sounds good. And it specifically says, like after you meld it with other things, durable. So you can at least create weapons that are more durable than others, depending on the types of materials that you're able to find.
So kind of like a blacksmithing kind of thing, where you can because you could do that. I want to say, well, I mean, that's common, I guess, in RPGs. Like I remember it in Dragon Age Inquisition, I believe Witcher 3 does that too, where it's like the different type of metal or a material that you build it out of increases its stats or like changes how strong it is and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then with the fuse system specifically, you can do things to even more trick out your weapons. So specifically, you can fuse weapons with almost anything. The basic one is take a sturdy stick, fuse it with a pretty good size small boulder the size of a large boulder.
Sure.
Do you remember that meme from Twitter?
No,
Small
I don't.
boulder the size of a large boulder. Never mind. So you can fuse it with a rock to get a big rock club that is super good for whittling away at geodes to get really good raw materials out of.
Nice.
Obviously, a little knife or a sword, not very durable, not
No.
going to make a dent in those big rocks that you're trying to bust through, but a rock on a club, that'll do the trick. The other ones are things like, okay, I've got this weak little Stalfos arm, and I don't like the way its hands move around that way, even though it's not attached anymore. I'm going to fuse it with a topaz, which is one of the gemstones, and the flavor text for the topaz now says, imbued with the power of electricity. Ooh. So if you fuse a topaz onto that arm, it can actually do magic electricity. It can do electric damage.
Ooh,
now.
that's cool.
The same thing goes for rubies, fire. Sapphires, water damage. So you can fuse elements into weapons on top of being able to fuse many different types of monster parts with your weapons. Now, this is really, I think, what the game pushes super hard because, basically all the bokoblins, all the semi-humanoid creatures of the world, their designs have been slightly tweaked in Tears of the Kingdom to now include basically like ornamental horns or like big claws or something like that for almost every single creature.
Got it.
The point being that when you kill that creature, in Breath of the Wild this was the case too, they would explode into parts. They would explode into monster parts, which you could then use to craft elixirs or sell because they were worth something, but that was kind of it. Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom, not the case. Now you can fuse those monster horns and those monster parts to your weapons to dramatically increase their damage.
That's pretty cool.
It's also a really nice payoff because now if you go to fight something like a Hinox, which previously, the monster parts alone were great. You could sell those for a fortune. They were great for crafting. But now you get the added benefit of, hey, I killed this Hinox. It also dropped its horn. That horn is super strong. If I fuse it with my sturdy long stick, I now have the best spear in the game.
Oh, okay.
So it really incentivizes you to basically blast through your weapons as fast as you can because you want to be able to use all the new monster parts that you keep finding around the map. So the weapon degradation system, I contend, still blows, and I kind of wish it weren't there. But they did at least make it functionally more fun.
Now, could you take a weapon, say, that you had crafted, made it durable through the fusing system, you hit a few things with it after a little while, you've gone exploring, and it's been damaged now where it's getting close to breaking. Can you fix it? Or does it still break and you have to just make a whole new one again?
It will still break, and you just have to make a whole new one.
So then question 2 is, how long, say you make something durable, how many hits you getting out of it, do you think?
Gosh,
like a brittle, I'm
really
expecting you're getting like
sure.
2 to 3, probably. And you're like under 10 hits on something like that. Is it going to last you a while, or is it still, if you go out to like a rock field and you're bashing up some ore, is it going to be gone in 5 minutes, kind of thing?
I would say if you were really like going around dedicated resource hunting and you were specifically going to places where there are a lot of geodes for you to smash through, you would still get through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
So like in terms of sheer time, 5 minutes sounds about right.
Okay.
But if you've got like a really good spear that's durable that you attached a really good monster part to, you can probably get through a good amount of enemies before that weapon breaks.
Got it. Okay.
So I think they still improved it overall, but it's still
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
You're still going to be in the middle of the fight and your best sword breaks and you're like, well, fuck.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's happened to me numerous times. But there's always other weapons for you to grab off of dead bodies,
Sure.
sticks to pick up off the ground. So you are almost never going to find yourself in a situation where you don't have a weapon, where you just have no other option but to run. There's always going to be something laying around that you can fuse into something else, make it better, make it badder, make it last a little bit longer, and be able to proceed as usual. Now, you might still need to go out of your way to find the really good stuff. Like maybe you don't necessarily want to fight the boss Bokoblin, but you know that the horn on his head is a really good weapon. So you're like, well, I kind of got shit right now. All I've got are a bunch of really sturdy clubs, which are slow and not very good in combat. I want to make this weak sword that I've got way better. He's got the thing that I need. I guess I got to go fight him.
Sure.
So it incentivizes you to go after those bigger targets. It incentivizes you to blast through your weapons as fast as you can so that you can make new, better stuff all the time. Now, another thing to just point out based on the memes is once a weapon has been fused once, you cannot fuse more onto it. Yes.
So it has to be like a planned thing.
Exactly.
Got
so
it.
you can't like just keep fusing more and more stuff onto the same base weapon. It's a one and done kind of thing.
So then my question to that is there any kind of resource or guide in the game that kind of like that you can use to know this is going to go with this is going to go with this, or is it pure through experimentation?
I would say that it's really more through experimentation. That being said, the descriptions on most fusible items do a really good job of giving you a good idea of what this thing is going to do when you put it together. Like, for example, Keese the bats?
Yes.
Keese wings, their flavor text is, hey, if you attach this to an arrow, that arrow is going to fly farther and straighter. It literally tells you that right there. And you're like, okay, great.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's good to know. If you get like a piece of yellow chew jelly because you killed an electric chew, if you fuse that onto one of your arrows and fire it off, you've basically created an electric arrow.
Got it.
And the game tells you all of this through the flavor text. So I think it does a really good job of not necessarily giving you a straightforward guide, but giving you plenty of guidance.
Well, and I
about
like
what
that
to do.
I like too that it makes the thing where you could like craft your own electric arrows in a way by finding and fusing monster parts to basic arrows, because I kind of feel like that was a little bit of a thing that was annoying too. Like arrows, I feel like are normally in most RPGs or whatever you use that a very craftable thing. Like Horizon, you craft arrows. Like you get the stuff, you craft it. But in Breath of the Wild, you had to go either find them or buy them.
Correct.
Right? I'm not forgetting something.
No, you are totally
so like
right.
I like that makes it a little bit more accessible, because there have been many points when I have played Breath of the Wild where I'm like, I really wish I had arrows,
Well, so
but
here's
I'm
the
nowhere
thing
near it.
about that specifically.
Okay.
You still have to have
Base
the
arrows? Okay.
Yes.
Which you still can only buy or find? Okay, so it's
the problem is still there.
still there, but I feel like you're going to come across, because you could specifically either hunt creatures that were going to give you those elements,
definitely.
rather than just like, oh, I randomly stumbled across a shock arrow stuck in the tree. Yay for me.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit more, you can build up a little bit easier rather than luck of the draw.
They also do a pretty good job of leaving random barrels and crates around that you can smash open that are almost always full of at least like a few apples, some nuts, and then some arrows, like a couple of loose arrows.
Sure.
So if you're ever totally out of resources and you don't have money to literally go to a shop and buy more arrows, you can probably find some just laying around the map by smashing stuff open.
Nice.
But to your point, the best way to get new resources is to fight enemies.
Okay.
So if I need arrows and that guy over there is shooting at me, I'm just going to go in circles and let him shoot at me. And I'm going to pick up the arrows off the ground.
I never thought about doing it that way, but that
I
makes a lot of
literally
sense.
do that. I just kind of stand there and I juke around. Missed me again. Because they have infinite ammo.
Sure. I had never thought about doing it that way. I should try that out.
It is the poor man's way to get arrows.
Well, because I don't know if you saw on our Discord or whatever, but everybody's been blowing up since it came out and talking about it.
I muted the Tears of the Kingdom channel because I didn't want to
spoilers?
see any of it.
Look
Yeah.
at that. She's
So-
kicking you guys out of her life. I'm there listening and talking to you all. But anyway,
Scumbag.
but anyway, so I was like seeing everybody do it, and obviously, like I knew I'm not going to go bust out and buy buy Tears of the Kingdom right now, because it's like we've long discussed my history with Breath of the Wild and just why I've never like fully completed it or anything. But still, seeing everybody talking about it, I was like, damn it, I feel like I'm missing
You
out.
got the FOMO again.
So I installed Breath of the Wild, and I've been playing a little bit over the weekend. I know I should be playing Survivor, but I was just like, you know what? No, I want to be included.
That's okay.
I jumped back in,
understand.
and so that's actually how I knew Goron's earlier, because
You cheated.
I'm in the Goron village right now, and I'm like going after that divine beast.
Nice. Okay.
I didn't
damn.
restart. I started the
job.
same save file back from where I was, which is where I was in the Goron city going after that divine beast. So again, no promises how long I'm going to stay in it, but I was just like, I want to play around a little bit. Maybe this time.
Absolutely. And really the social aspect of it is truly one of the most fun parts.
Oh, it's been so fun
I do at least
seeing-
check all of the memes because I'm
Yeah.
like, these are hilarious. I love these memes. The one that Ark posted the other day of the comedian just doing a long soliloquy about how he desperately wants to play Tears of the Kingdom, but he has the money. He definitely can get the technology. He just doesn't have the time.
Story of my life.
It is so funny. Yeah, so I love all the memes games. I definitely understand the social aspect of, but everybody's playing
I know.
it.
I was like, I'm not going to go and jump and buy $70. Old me would have done that and just been like, I'm going to try it anyway. But no, I went back to the old game. But still, it's been kind of fun, like messing around in it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is a monstrous game. There's a lot that's new. There's a lot that isn't. Like a lot of it is just literally the same resources used over again. And a lot of it is very, very similar story beats, just repurposed in a new packaging. To be fair, I know that I have on record said multiple times, if they just give me Breath of the Wild again, I will be perfectly happy with that. So in that respect, I brought this on myself.
You're perfectly happy with it.
Happy with it. But so even though there are things that I would ideally change about the experience that I'm having so far, it is still the flattest butt gaming that you can possibly do. I'm literally at the point where I'm like, my tailbone hurts. My butt
You need to get like
hurts.
a little like under desk treadmill or something, just to like stand there or go to the gym.
Really
like
do.
one of the
It
treadmills
is
there
brutal.
and play there just to get a little
Because
blood
I
flow.
keep having to like stand up and do squats and like move around because I'm like, oh God, my
I know you
ass.
showed up here today and Sam was like, "How's Zelda? How's the game?" And you're like, "My butt hurts."
It just does.
A true excellent game then if it hits a full
excellent
10 on the
game.
flat butt
Yeah.
scale.
Very important thing that I definitely wanted to bring up because I know that it was a complaint that a lot of people had about Breath of the Wild,
Sure.
and that many people are also having with Tears of the Kingdom, myself included, because there is so much stuff that you can mechanically do. I am getting the controls constantly confused. Even though I know what does what. I know that if I hold down L, that soothes the horse. I know that if I, pick up a piece with my Zonai arm and hold down the R button, I then use the D-pad to rotate it around. Does that mean I do those events in that order correct every time?
Sure.
Absolutely not. No. And especially when it comes to crafting materials and fusing on the fly,
Yeah.
I always trip myself up there.
I do worry about that for myself in that
Yeah.
game, that I wonder if I would like fall into the trap of like
Oh,
Fortnite
dude.
Lite, where like
Yes.
Fortnite, I can't build for shit in Fortnite.
yeah.
Never been able to, because just like you want me to be able to have to quickly, while under pressure of being shot at, choose the right angle of wall, the right material of wall, the right thing that I'm just trying to build. And then you see the people, like the really good people at it, who just like one bullet whizzes past there and they're like 50-story tower in 2 seconds. I did worry about I feel like my building imagination would limit me a little bit.
So at least in that regard, I will say that I did kind of also get that feeling of like, it's kind of like Fortnite.
Yeah.
A little tiny bit. I think the difference is that when it comes to building structures, the point is not to do that in combat.
Sure.
It gives you these specific stations that are full of resources, and it's clearly like, hey, you can build a cart out of this, and you can attach that cart to your horse.
Okay.
My new horse is named Rain because I caught my first horse in the rain. It's black with speckles on its butt, so cute.
It's like raindrops stained.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Anyways, you can attach the cart to your horse and then cart stuff around. It's awesome.
Okay, that's a little better than so it's not
Yes.
like, you're being attacked by a Lionel or something like that.
The
Just
only section where that has proven helpful for me so far is I was in a like an enemy cave, where a bunch of kind of like an enemy base,
Sure.
where a bunch of bokoblins were, and I knew that I wanted to pick them off one by one because there was no way I had enough weapons with enough durability to literally fight them all.
Yeah.
So there were like two small walls nearby, and I was already up on a perch, so I had just enough leeway to be able to fuse those two walls catty corner to each other and basically create a small amount of cover. I have only done that once in an active combat situation.
Okay.
So that's definitely not the goal
Sure.
per se. It's more like, hey, build the dopest tractor you possibly can and drive it across the Hyrule fields. And you're
Nice.
like, hell yes.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yes, brother.
Fire up my John Deere.
Exactly. It's the best. So this was something else that I really kind of worried about, and you brought this up as well. I also don't consider myself to be a creative engineer. Those Tinker toys that we were joking about earlier,
Yeah.
I never actually built anything with
I would
them.
build very basic models. I could do the Ferris wheel.
Yep. Do the Ferris
It's basically
wheel.
a pinwheel.
Basically make yourself a small city out of skyscrapers that are just just straight lines.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty
Flat
much.
on the ground, laid out in front of me.
Yep, that's the
Who needs
thing.
3D?
So I struggled with the same thing, and I was worried, like, and especially in the beginning of the game, I would look at these pieces and be like, what do I do with these? So I definitely had the exact same experience. Where I think the game really helps you with that is that, especially in the depths, so when you dive into those chasms and you really start to explore down there, you will eventually start finding things that are a lot more zonai structures that are kind of pre-made to give you examples of like, hey, have you thought about doing this?
Okay, that's smart.
So it doesn't give you the schematics per se, but it does sort of like leave certain pieces laying around or things pre-made for you to find and then use for the first time to give you those ideas of, oh, this is what I could do with this stuff. So the first swamp boat, what are those things called? The wind boats?
Yeah.
Fan boats?
Yeah, I guess.
Airboats?
Airboat, yeah.
Yeah, the airboats. I was trying to get to an island way off in the distance, the one from the first game, Eventide Isle, but it's different now. And I was like, man, I definitely can't swim that far, but there are 2 fans and the beginnings of a raft over here. So I slapped together a little raft and put 2 fans on the back and then also found a rocket, 2 rockets, and then 2 extra energy cells. So like blasting off from that shoreline, I was like, yeah, because you're just going
Super fast.
going fast, go fast. Oh my god, you're like, Sonic wishes he could go this fast. So that thrill of building something that really works well for the first time and having it go to plan is like, oh my god, this is the best.
Nice.
It is so much fun. The flying structures.
That was fun.
I've only just touched the surface of the things that you can build and actually fly around, but oh my god. I'm glad that I'm not on TikTok, that I'm not really on social media looking at what other people are making, because I feel like that would take some of the joy of discovery of, oh, this is what I could do with this. So all of this to say, if you are not creatively inspired like Jared and I are, don't worry too much about that. The game builds in inspiration for you to go off of. So you don't have to worry about, I have no fucking idea what to make out of these pieces. You will have a rubric to a certain extent to help you on that path.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Gosh, I think that's about all I can really say. So the one thing that I unfortunately didn't get to in time for this first impressions, the big news about Tears of the Kingdom is that supposedly they made more what traditional Zelda fans would call dungeons. The traditional dungeon experience. I suspect that those are going to be at my main story points around the map, the one with the Zora, the Ritto, the blah, blah, blah. I think that's where those are going to be, but I haven't made it to any of those yet.
Been doing too much exploring.
Been doing too much exploring, too much dicking around, too much flying and boating around on my crazy airboat. I've been having too much fun to do that.
Nice.
So unfortunately, I don't have any firm thoughts on those yet, but as soon as I get around to it, we'll do like a little update and I'll talk about the dungeons a little bit more.
Cool. So overall, it's like it's Breath of the Wild again, but with a lot of additions and stuff like that, and things that are making it new and fresh, but
really
enough
is.
new and fresh to still make it feel like it's its own thing.
I would really imagine it more, I would describe it more as like a super expansion.
Got it.
Because it has so many just literal one-for-ones from the first game that it feels difficult to call it not Breath of the Wild 2.
Sure.
Like, honestly, in my mind, I still kind of struggle with calling it Tears of the Kingdom because I'm like, it's Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
It's the exact same game, but again. And in many respects, that is true. In other ways, that's not true.
Maybe they Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go.
Oh, I was just gonna say maybe they shortened it to just be Tears of the Kingdom because Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild to the Tears of the Kingdom is a long ass title. So maybe it really is. I mean, it is in all intents and purposes Breath of the Wild 2. It is
really
the sequel to the game, but they're just not calling it that
Absolutely.
in title.
So my TLDR is, if you didn't like the first Breath of the Wild game, this one's not for you.
I'll be borrowing your copy.
If you did like Breath of the Wild and you were thinking, I would like more of this, please, Tears of the Kingdom is absolutely for you. I know already that I am probably going to put as many, possibly more hours into Tears of the Kingdom than I did with Breath of the Wild. I clocked well over 200 hours.
I was going to ask, how many do you think you did in Breath
Oh,
of the Wild?
I know I did over 200. Nice. It's on my old Switch now that I've got my new
Oh,
Switch.
how is that?
Oh, it's so nice.
Have you played it like handheld much to get to like experience the new screen and stuff?
I meant to bring it with me to be like, look how pretty it is, but I didn't want to mess it up, and also I'm worried about it.
Oh, no, I
don't
understand.
have the glass screen protector
keep
yet.
that at home.
So I got to keep it at home. But it is delightful.
Nice.
So that on those rare occasions where I do actually have to go, okay, I really can't hold the P any longer. I have to go.
I have to get up to go sit down somewhere
At
else.
least you can pick it up and take it with you.
Very true. Very
So
true.
the Switch OLED is very pretty. I can imagine eventually playing someday, Jarrett, Haunted Chocolatier. It's going to be awesome on that Switch OLED.
It will
as
be.
soon as it comes out in 2026, I imagine.
Or Silk Song, whenever it comes out
Yeah,
too.
or Silk Song. So Tears of the Kingdom, it is a very good, fun game. There is a lot to enjoy. It might not be the best choice for all players, like the Jarretts of the world, and that's okay.
Yep.
Not all games
can't
are made
play 'em
for,
all.
Yeah, we can't play them all, and not all games are made for all audiences.
No.
So if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you liked Breath of the Wild 1, you're definitely going to like Tears of the Kingdom, for
Nice.
sure.
Very cool.
Oh,
Well,
they
there-
did also add one side character that's hot.
Oh, nice. I did forget to talk about that in my Survivor.
Oh, the hotties?
There's a couple hotties.
Damn.
So we'll have to
Next time,
catch
follow
up. Circle back to that.
We'll
in
save
the
all the
review.
hotties for the full reviews.
Yeah.
We'll,
So we'll break
hottie
down the
review
husbandos and the
hour.
waifus then.
Yes.
So,
That would be fun.
well, all right, there we have it. Mogan's first impressions of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. If you, just like her, and I know there are a lot of you out there who have been playing it with
We
her.
see you in our
see you,
Discord.
and we would love to still hear more of your, there's a lot of chatter going on, and I can't keep, I don't know what's going on with it all, but if someone would like to summarize me some of your points about what you like about it all, okay, we would love to hear how your playthrough of Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom has been going as well. But until next time, everybody, this has been an episode of Teen Chat Podcast. We'll see you all next time. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.